Yeah.
I can give you one breakthrough moment, actually. We had come up with this show called Ahmed's Crew, which eventually became Yard Crashers.
What was it called?
Ahmed's Crew. We had this host named Ahmed Hassan.
Oh, okay.
Who we had found absolutely, we just plucked him out of nowhere. And he had something. And so we built this show around him and took it to the network, and the network liked it. So they screened it internally. And the breakthrough moment was we went out to Knoxville to visit the network, and everybody, and I do mean everybody, was coming up to us saying, "Oh my God, we've never seen a show like this before." It was amazing. Suddenly we were the big men on campus. And
Yeah,
that was a
that's
big
a good
breakthrough
point.
because that started to open up other doors. Because quite frankly, from that point, we were able to walk into the network at any time and pitch them shows, and they would listen.
And today we take a rare peek into the incredible lives of producers of real live TV shows. They do kitchen crashers, yard crashers, house crashers. I don't know how many crashers you guys have. I am here with Peter Holmes and Bill Swan. They're the managing partners of Big Table Media. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing well.
You guys doing okay?
Doing well.
All right, so, we're talking business partners, and you guys have been partners. Peter, how long have you guys been business partners for?
Been business partners for 21 years now. So we
Okay.
opened the company, in fact, in October.
It'll be 21 years. And so, Peter, if you don't mind, give us just an overview of the business, and then we'll dive deeper into how you got this thing going.
Got it. So we do television production. Our main client, we didn't start out doing this, but our main client is Scripps, which is Scripps Network, which has now become Discovery Networks. They were bought up, and their main client was HGTV, if all that makes sense.
Okay.
HGTV,
We've heard of HGTV for
DIY,
sure.
Travel Channel, Food Network. You've heard
Wow,
of.
absolutely.
So,
yeah.
We started doing graphics and stuff, but our goal was always to do television shows, long format, national television shows out of Sacramento. And we talked about it originally. Everybody's supposed to move to LA. And we said, no, we don't want to move to LA. That's just not
You start
an option.
making it big in media, you got to move to LA. You said we're going entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk about. So, we've heard of some of those channels, but in terms of these are like reality TV shows that you guys make. Is that your main business?
They are. It's reality television. And it is, most of our work is for HGTV and DIY Network, which are kind of their makeover shows.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter, I'm going to let Bill jump in here a little bit. So you guys have been together 20-something, coming up on 21 years. Walk us through this journey. How did you guys get together, and then what happened in the launch?
I think we owe it all to the folks over at KCRA.
KCRA.
I worked as an editor. He was a senior producer.
Okay.
And, here's one of those little partner stories, pre-partner stories, is that back in the day, most producers would walk in, hand you a bunch of tapes and a script and say, have fun with it, and they'd leave the room. And then this cat walks in one day, hands me a script, and then he sits down in the edit room with me. And he actually wants to take part in the process, and that's where it all started. So
That didn't bother you? Hey, get out of my
it actually
get out of my
did.
zone.
It actually did. It was like what I kept looking around. It's like you can leave now. It's like, I know what to do. It's
Get out of my space, man.
Okay.
But it started there, and the thing that came out of KCRA was that there were a lot of really talented people there, and I remember telling a lot of the people in the department that, if we were to leave and everybody throws in $5,000 into a pot, we could run this town.
Wow.
Well, that's kind of what he and I did.
Two of you guys threw in a $5,000 or so.
It was a little more than
Okay.
that. But it was time for us to just go, and he actually had to convince me. I was waffling, and he had the idea. He's the idea guy in this thing. He had the idea, and I kind of went back and forth. But,
Well, what did he say to convince you? Obviously, you were a little annoyed that he's walking into the editing area. How did he talk you into it?
You know, I'm not
I
really
told him
sure.
I'd sit with him in the edit forever and ever and never leave the room, ever.
All right, so two guys working for a K station, KCRA, obviously have built that's the number one station in town at the time. So you guys don't recruit others to come with you. It's just YouTube. And what happened, Peter?
We decided to take that leap, and so we both, and this is maybe pertinent to some of what you do, we both had to work like double time for like a year. I mean, we were both freelancing outside of KCRA just to make up money, just to get the momentum going to that moment when you get enough and you say, okay, we can do it.
Well, that's interesting. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we see that they maybe they have a job and they sort of moonlight with their fledgling entrepreneurial endeavor. You guys did it, maybe a little bit the opposite. It was you started the entrepreneurial endeavor, but you allowed yourselves to sort of moonlight on the side as individual freelancers. That's no conflict.
No, because we really needed to ramp up financially, because we knew that when we started, we may or may not have clients. We did have a couple. We took KCRA with us for a little while as a client, but we had to make a living. In fact, Bill was doing a different job for the lottery, doing the lottery show, and that helped us a lot. I mean, those are things you just have to make it work, you know.
Okay, so you find a way, Bill, to make it work. You guys finally quit moonlighting. Now you've built this incredible enterprise, right? Doing reality TV shows. Walk us through the journey.
Actually, we didn't build the enterprise initially doing the reality TV shows, but I was able to bring my freelance work underneath the corporate umbrella. So that lasted for a couple of years while we were building up a local clientele. So that helped us establish a credit rating, gave us a good bottom floor from which to operate. And from there, we really started trying to branch out locally, working with ad agencies, that sort of thing. Mixed results. We always got work, but it was never enough to take it to the next level. So much of what got us into really in the door with the networks was serendipitous. It was,
Sounds like luck.
yeah, but it was, it's that whole thing in business too of being ready for when the luck hits you.
Yeah.
And we were ready for the moment is what it came down to. And I think, behind that, we had this commitment to the craft. We were never in this, we wanted to get some money. But one of the things, a quick backstory, one of the things that John Kelly, the head of KCRA, told us when we were walking out the door is that you guys are a bunch of bloody artists. You're not business people. And that's both served us and held us back in some ways. But it served us well in that our commitment has always been to the client, to the project, period. Sometimes to our own detriment. But that's what got us going. That's what got us noticed at the networks. And that's what.
How would you describe that breakthrough moment? Right, you're obviously battling. You're freelancing. You're. It's tough to put food on the table. I know through these early years in business, in most cases. What was that breakthrough moment, and what did it look like?
The breakthrough moment. You might have to help me.
Okay,
I don't. You know what? To be honest, I don't know that there is a breakthrough moment in our business. I think there's a bunch. I think there's hundreds and hundreds of little mini breakthrough moments. And then there's that moment after where you go, okay, we got it. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
And then you keep going.
Yeah.
I can give you one breakthrough moment, actually. We had come up with this show called Ahmed's Crew, which eventually became Yard Crashers.
What was it called?
Ahmed's Crew. We had this host named Ahmed Hassan.
Oh, okay.
Who we had found absolutely, we just plucked him out of nowhere. And he had something. And so we built this show around him and took it to the network, and the network liked it. So they screened it internally. And the breakthrough moment was we went out to Knoxville to visit the network, and everybody, and I do mean everybody, was coming up to us saying, oh my God, we've never seen a show like this before. It was amazing. Suddenly we were the big men on campus. And that was a big breakthrough because that started to open up other doors. Because quite frankly, from that point, we were able to walk into the network at any time and pitch them shows, and they would listen.
Well, how do you guys walk us through a client type of situation today, right? How do you discover the talent? Walk us through that process and where it comes out at the end, and we see it on HGTV.
That's a tough process, and I don't think a lot of people fully understand how it works. And I'm going to answer your question by telling you guys what the network's looking for, because it's important. The way they figure out the TV shows that they want to do it doesn't have always a lot to do with necessarily the best idea. It's just they're always looking for the best talent and the best show idea, something new, but the timing has to be just perfect. And it's like, Bill and I get pitched all the time for show ideas. Even my mother pitches me all the time.
Would your mom pitch you?
She's probably going to listen, so I don't want to say too much. But we get pitched
Grandma
shows.
Crashers.
Yeah, we get pitched shows all the time. And people out there have to remember that the networks like HGTV, that a lot of people watch, those guys, we pitch a show about, hey, what about doing this? They've probably been pitched that 50 times today. They're getting hammered with all the same stuff from production companies like us. So it really takes a real
So you make some
active
sort of
finesse.
discovery. Somebody pitches to you. You go, I think this might be slightly differentiated, whether it be talent or the
Yep.
story. And then you would bring that to Scripps or HGTV or DIY.
Yeah.
And then then you have to pitch it to them, right? You have to put something together. What do you put together? Is it video? What's it look like, your pitch?
These days, what we put together is just a simple Skype reel, and we just talk to somebody we think is going to be a good talent. We put them, we interview them, and that's as far as we go.
Skype reel.
So it's just a video. It's a 3 to 4 minute video reel of a talent who we think is good, because it really does come down to talent.
Okay. That way you're not spending big bucks just to go pitch the thing.
We used to. Lord knows, we used to do that.
And some of the other networks still do require us to do sizzle reels or to do something that really showcases the potential for what a show would be. So that's the speculative investment on our part to decide whether we think there's enough there to go out and spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a reel. Sometimes if they like the idea, they'll go ahead and pay us to do it.
Well, Bill, besides the Grandma Crashers or whatever, I think we got Peter's mom jumping in pitching. What's the funniest one or the weirdest one you've ever got pitched where you just sort of went, what is this?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I mean, quite frankly, there aren't a whole lot of folks who have pitched us stuff that we've run with. We usually are able to find people or generate the topic or the world or whatever it is ourselves.
Probably, honestly, 49 times out of 50, we get pitched something that's already on the air.
Okay. And they just want to put their twist on
what
it in
about
some
this?
way.
What about this? And this guy's really good, or this gal's really good, or what about this? And it's like, and I've done it myself, so I can't even blame people. I mean, I've pitched stuff to the network, and they say, what was the show we were going to pitch with Allison, with our kitchen crasher gal, who is now our Windy City rehab gal in Chicago? Love is in the Air. And she was going to do some matchmaking in airports and send a couple who just met in the airport to some vacation, together. But then we realized, we actually made that pitch to the network, and then they said, well, there's another show already on the air. Yeah. And then it's kind of like one of those duh moments. It's like, don't you know that? You're in the business.
Well, now that there's so many vehicles for getting our content out there in digital, right? It's no longer just a major network. There's millions, there's probably millions of ideas. I don't know, maybe that's too many, but there's so many ideas. Somebody's doing something. How do you see the industry changing? What's that do to companies like yourself? Are you having to think about migration into YouTube type content and things like that?
It's changing on just a tectonic level. It's crazy. I mean, it's like, it's the whole notion of, hey, everybody's got pots and pans. Everybody can cook. Can they cook well? We don't know. But there are guys on YouTube out there who are doing really good stuff. And it's like, we're all taking attention. We're all noticing it. I mean, they're
Well, is that Bill? Is that opportunity? Because for a lot of us, that seems like opportunity. I'm invested into people who have YouTube channels, and they are killing it. So, I mean, there's part of us that are thinking this is opportunity. How about for you guys? Are you kind of stuck where you're at, or are you widening the view on this opportunity?
We're widening the view. Part of it is just out of necessity. To finish up the thought on the impact of all of these, there are so many networks, there are so many outlets, whether it's online or on television, where people can get content, that one of the byproducts of that at the television network level is that they're very averse to risk now. Whereas back in the day, we could pitch Yard Crashers, and they would actually take a chance on a show that was way outside of their wheelhouse. They're pretty hesitant to do that now. They want to make sure they're layered in corporate America, and they want to make sure they're going to get a hit. So yeah, we have had to branch out, and we're moving into working with Silicon Valley companies that, because of certain contracts, we can't say who they are, but doing corporate image pieces, advertising pieces, that sort of long-form advertising pieces, that sort of thing.
Everybody's got a cell phone. Anybody can start a YouTube channel. So in some ways, it's sort of democratized this opportunity. Are you, because the cost of the equipment's so cheap, the cost of distributing is so cheap. So how do you compete? I mean, if you jump into that area?
Story.
Okay.
You've still got to have good characters. You still have to have a great story, and you have to be able to tell it well. And if you can do that, it doesn't matter what technology you're using.
Peter, how do you tell a great story?
Boy, that's a tricky one. I mean, most of the time, to be honest, you can let the story kind of tell itself. I mean, as long as you realize there has to be a starting point, there has to be an end, there has to be a middle. It can't just be a meandering mess. It's gotta go in a little bit of an arc.
When you record one of these reality TV shows, though, it happens over months or extended periods of time,
Depends
and then
on the
you
show.
launch the whole thing at once, right? It doesn't. You don't release it real time.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
But
you don't. You know where the story's going to go, but you don't always know the answer on a reality TV because I mean, stuff changes, right?
No, and it is reality TV. I mean, there are things, when we do a makeover on a show, we don't know we don't like Windy City Rehab, the one in Chicago that we're doing. They're taping the show, and one of our photographers gets a call at like 2 a.m. There's a huge water break, and it's filling up the basement. It's like, we didn't know that's going to happen. So he goes over and shoots it. It's a great element in the show.
Because you're getting drama, you're getting panic or what have you.
It's real. So that's the beauty is that, like I said, we're not. It's looking for the story and just kind of watching for it. That's gonna be a great moment in the show, and it really happened. And our photographer had to get up at 2 a.m. and wade through freezing Chicago weather to get that shot, which he did, and that becomes part of the story arc, which is cool. But you're right, all that happens after the makeover's done.
Well, let's talk, Bill, about your story, your guys' relationship, yours and Peter's as business partners. I think a lot of us wonder, should I get a business partner? What are the pros and cons in having business partners? Talk to us about this relationship that you've built. It's become much more than just two people bouncing off each other in an editing room.
Yeah, true. It's there are a couple things going here. Number one, I really think of him as my brother, and there's just a connection between us that it's always been there, and I can't really explain what it is or how it works, but it works. We listen to one another, and the other thing is that we have complementary skills, there's overlap, but he's Mr. Big Picture. I mean, he sees things so far out that I can't even imagine. But I'm the little picture guy, and I'm also the technical guy because everything we do is built on a technical infrastructure. I manage that. So, we have these layers to what we do, and they complement one another. And then we talk a lot, we listen to one another, and it just kind of works.
Peter, how would you
super.
describe Bill as a business partner?
Oh, that's what he's saying. That's super important. One of the things like a good marriage is, I can try and figure something out, or Bill can try and figure something out. But one of the beauties is that we can go into each other's office and close the door and say, so am I crazy thinking this? Or what do you think of that? Is this a dumb idea? Is this a great idea? Are we nuts? And we can talk it through. And that's maybe been one of the secret ingredients, other than what Bill is talking about. Yeah, we're kind of uncanny. We wore the same shirt this morning. It was just like,
yeah,
who knew? It's like, and we do that. We probably do that 3 times a week.
Start cycling together.
Like, go figure.
Yeah. So thinking about that, everything sounds hunky-dory, sounds beautiful. Like any marriage, you're hoping to live happily ever after, but there's drama along the way.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of challenges? What happens when you guys get in a fight?
We don't, to be honest, we can't we have not. We're kind of odd. I don't think we've gotten in a fight really.
No, I don't, we never have.
But there are challenges. I mean, there's times, there's times when the business just pushes that agenda, and it's tough, and there's probably been times when Swanee spent a night, editing 24 hours, and not at least not for a while, and he's probably cursing my name because I'm home sleeping, and vice versa. That'll come around.
Who's
again,
the harder worker, you or Swanee?
Oh God, no! We can't even.
What would your wife say?
We're not touching that one. Mark. Not touching that one. Are we going to commercial break here?
My brother and I had businesses for a long time, and I think he outworked me. I know he thinks he outworked me, and my family thought I worked really hard, but I think he and I both know, and his family knew that he probably outworked me. And I was more, I don't know if I was a big picture guy, but I wasn't as hard a worker.
You know what? That's actually a good point, though, because Swanee always talks about the pendulum. When we were talking about the pendulum this morning, it swings back and forth, and sometimes he'll be busy, and sometimes I'll be busy. And I think one of the super key ingredients is you don't keep track. Yeah. If you keep track, it's gonna bring nothing good to you. Don't try and keep tabs on it.
What about mutual? You guys are 50-50 partners, right? Correct. What about so the goals are aligned, right? In terms of building this business, what's the overarching goal, and how do you come to agreement on the overarching goals?
Boy, that's a good thing, because I don't know that we've ever sat down. You're a pretty deliberate guy, and you set goals, and you can see the results of those goals. I don't know that we've been that deliberate. Again, remember, we're the guys John Kelly said, you're a bunch of bloody artists, all right? You don't know a damn thing about business.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, that's true. Yeah. So but the commitment is still there to produce great stuff. We love what we do, and we love making it the best it can be. And beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, we did say back in the day, I remember talking to my wife, and who's also an entrepreneur, and saying that I want to do national TV shows out of Sacramento. I know KCRA did it, and John Kelly did it for a while with The West, which is a big syndicated show.
It sounds like you've always been kind of like a big dreamer.
Yeah, I think we do, but I think it's also important what Bill was saying when we started out that we didn't talk about, that we kind of loosely agreed that we're just looking for a comfortable orbit. We're not looking to conquer the world.
Let the craft carry
but
you along
the way. But
it
it did get bigger than we thought. I mean, we honestly, and thinking of these guys over here, I mean, we never really totally imagined the possibility that we'd be doing national shows out of Sacramento. 21 years ago. We thought that was a possibility, but we learned a lot along the way, and a lot of it was surprising. The one thing we're looking forward to coming up, so we've got this Windy City Rehab. It's a huge show. It's being shot in Chicago right now with our host, Allison Victoria, who was the Kitchen Crasher gal. She is amazing, and she's just a dynamo. She and her partner are buying multi-million-dollar. Well, they're buying huge properties in Chicago, and we're following them as they remodel, and then they're selling them for a profit. You should have her on your show. It's going to be a great show. It premieres in January on HGTV, and it should be a big show.
Well, all this success and all these, you guys are kind of this best kept secret in Sacramento in terms of media. You're breaking out. We're helping you break out a little bit, even though I know that's not your intent. It's my intent, though, to help share interesting stories. What's the emotion, though, after all this success? Like, how do you feel looking back at the career?
I'm super proud of what we've done. I think it's great. I mean, we've tried to treat everybody as well as we could. We've tried to provide, and still do, hopefully, we try and provide jobs for people and be fair and, and just be honest about life. It doesn't have to be that it's complicated enough,
Bill, besides today, what's your proudest moment?
Proudest moment. I heard that. Nice little pitch there. Okay, well done.
Mark Haney here.
Well, it's pretty much today. I mean, we can retire now, right?
That's what's going on my resume.
Yeah, I love it.
Proudest moment. Man, there have been so many. We did over 750 Crashers shows it's all over the country. At one point, we had over 100 employees with offices, production units in Minnesota, LA, Sacramento, Chicago. And, the coolest thing about it is that it was harmonious. It was not only productive, but everybody was really digging what they were doing. You didn't, you get little skirmishes here and there, but it's such a positive environment. And because of the fact that we were doing home makeover shows and actually going into people's homes and improving their lives, everybody was all in. It was like a cause for a lot of folks, and there was a lot of enthusiasm around everything that we did. And that to me was the feel-good factor.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs or maybe employees that are thinking they want to go entrepreneurial and they're thinking they need to get the right business partner? Because obviously this has worked. Think about that next guy in line. How would you advise him or her?
That's a good question. I in terms of finding the right business partner, I just kind of fell into it. So it wasn't necessarily a deliberate process. It felt right. Mm-hmm. And so I would say
go with your gut.
Trust your instincts, go with your gut. And this is something we tell each other all the time when, those times in business where you come up and there has to be a really big decision and you're not really comfortable, just go with your gut.
Yeah. Peter, how about you?
I agree with that, and I think it's super important. I try and teach that to our kids too. It's like, as they get older, they're 30 and 32, and it's like just
same age as my kids.
Your gut is starting to kick in. It's like trust it. It's like 5-6 years ago, maybe there was a hint of something there, but now it's starting to kick in. Trust that gut feeling. But the thing that I want to add to what Bill's saying, honestly, is, for any entrepreneur, any businessman, there's one thing that just drives me crazy, and I can't say all the words I want to say because it's a family-rated show.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to love what you're heading into, and you're going to have to work really hard. There's this notion, that I can just do this and it'll come to me, and that does happen to people. I mean, you've seen that. I mean, in your world, in the entrepreneur world, that happens all the time. Some people get lucky and they can work at home and they can work in their cars and make the calls from Maui, and keep the business running. The 99 out of the other 100 of us are having to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have to work really hard and don't fuss about it. Just do it. Do it or don't do it.
Work hard, bring the love. Peter Holmes, Bill Swan, Big Table Media. You're the best kept secret here in Sacramento. Thank you guys for joining us today. Really appreciate the words of wisdom, the kindness, and look forward to watching your TV shows a little bit more often. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You bet.
Thanks.
If you like our entrepreneurial stories, if you like the messages that we bring that inspire, if you want a little more Mark Haney, not everybody does, but if you do, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to be part of our community, engage, comment, share. I want to get to know you better. You want to get to know me better. Follow me on all our social media platforms at The Mark Haney. I look forward to knowing you better, and let's get to know each other better so we can help build these businesses that we love.